So what comes next? Stalemate or maybe a surrender of the documents? Joining me now, the former Justice Department attorney, Tom Dupree. Hi, Tom.
Good evening.
So you're an attorney. You know this better than me, that attorneys can phrase things as they wish, as you just heard in that sound there and Hillary talk about. It depends on whatever these banks feel that they are obligated to do. So what are they obligated to do?
Well, that is the $64,000 question. Look, the fact is you start off with the premise that these banks, like all companies, want to be cooperative with congressional investigations. When companies get requests from law enforcement, they typically will do whatever they can within the scope of their legal duties and obligations to be helpful, to be cooperative, and to comply. That said, it doesn't mean that companies will fork over everything that Congress wants. And in this case, from public reports, it sounds like there's been a lot of narrowing of the subpoena, trying to reach areas of accommodation, and so to give Congress maybe some of what it wants, but not necessarily all of what it's seeking, because it sounds like what they're seeking is quite broad.
Yeah, what is the balance here? Because if I give my financial documents to a bank, I would think that they are secret. Of course, I am not President Trump and have no clue what are in those documents and what Democrats want, but there's got to be some sort of balance, I would think.
There does, but I got to say, from what we've seen from this congressional committee, it seems like the notion of balance maybe has been lost a little bit. We already have a number of ongoing investigations, both into foreign influence in the campaign, the election, as well as investigations into the Trump organization. And so the fact that we now have yet another entity, a congressional committee, launching all of these subpoenas, trying to gather this information, really replowing ground that's already been plowed, I think does call into question the motives.
That's part of the argument from some Republicans. They say, how can Congress do a better job than, say, the New York Attorney General, who has also, according to reports, sought documents from Deutsche Bank in subpoena. So who does, or who is able to potentially oversee this in a better manner? Is it Congress, or is it folks who do this for a living?
Well, when you put it that way, look, as a general matter, the fact is that prosecutors do this sort of thing for a living. Now, that's not to say that all prosecutors are innocent and lack political motivations, because we sure know that there are politically motivated prosecutors out there. But by and large, when a congressional committee like this one does this sort of investigation under these circumstances, where you have existing investigations, where it's clear from the hearing that we've already seen that there are members who are plainly looking to score political points, it really calls into question what the ultimate goal of this investigation is, whether it is to get to the bottom of issues that other law enforcement entities are already looking at, or if it's to provide a stage to make these sorts of political arguments.
Eric Trump today, Tom, called this an unprecedented abuse of power. I guess you could split that into two parts. One, is this unprecedented? And two, in your view, is this an abuse of power?
Well, as far as unprecedented goes, look, the fact of life in Washington is when you have the presidency controlled by one party and Congress, or a House of Congress, controlled by the other party, you're going to get an uptick in investigations. What is happening now should not come as a surprise to anyone. I don't think it comes as a surprise to the White House. They obviously don't like it, but I don't think it's a surprise. We've seen that they've staffed up the White House counsel's office precisely to prepare for what is likely to be really an onslaught of investigations over the next 2 years into the president's finances, his personal dealings. Pretty much everything that these committees will say falls within their jurisdiction.
We live in a really nightmare. We live in a really nightmare.